Hey there, John Morris here, johnmorrisonline.com. Welcome back to another episode of the John Morris Show. This one I'm going to be answering a question. This actually came up on the Discord server the other day, which, by the way, if you're not over there, johnmorrisonline.com/Discord. A lot of tons of really good help going on over there. A lot of chat and back and forth and so forth. So if you want to get into something like that, again, johnmorrisonline.com/Discord. Now, I'm going to be talking about pricing here, and the question was, is time really the only way, or is it the primary way that you go about costing your services? I have my opinion on this, of course, but I know that a lot of people have a lot of different experiences, and some of you will vehemently disagree with me. What I want to encourage you to do is, if you do, and you go to leave your comment, first do leave a comment and let me know what you think, but if you go to leave it, make sure and try and back it up with at least some logic or something like that, like you're an idiot or that's not true sort of stuff doesn't really help anybody. So if you are going to leave a comment and put your opinion out there, be sure to kind of back it up and give us the reason why you think what you think, because who knows, we may all learn something from you, and heck, I may even do a video on your comment next time around if it's really that good and changes my mind. But let me get into what I think, and I've written some notes down here, so see me looking down. I'm just kind of looking at my notes here. But I am going to do one more thing. I'm going to do a premium podcast on this next month. And in case you don't know, I'm inside the Code Nation Premium membership. I am now doing monthly podcasts. These are for patrons only. And so I'm going to do a full podcast over there on this. But I wanted to cover some of my initial thoughts here, because this was a game changer for me in my career. Now, you've probably heard me talk about my Michael Hyatt story, and because he was one of my first really big name clients. If you don't know who he is, he gets, at the time it was, I think there's 350 to 400,000 unique visitors to his blog each month. I would guess it's probably even more than that now, because that was several years ago, and he seems like he has even bigger profile now. He's a New York Times bestselling author. He has as of the last I looked, 292,000 Twitter followers. Point being, he's a really big name online, and he was a really big client for me. But it wasn't his actual project that was the game changer for me. It's what happened afterwards, because when he launched a membership site, remember, I primarily build membership sites. And so when he launched one, there were a lot of people that took notice, a lot of people in a similar industry, or a lot of his followers and so forth. And suddenly a whole bunch of his followers wanted to create membership sites. And they wanted to create a membership site that looked and worked similar to his. And they wanted to know who built his membership site. Well, that was me. So I suddenly started getting just emails out of the blue. One of the weirdest things that has ever happened to me, just the scale of how much this actually happened. And so I would just start getting these random emails, and it was, hey, I see you built Michael Hyatt's site. I want something similar. Can you build it for me? And that became what I called, it became a package I offered on my site for services called a clone. And what it was is I basically took the code, the theme that I had written for his site, and I would change colors, and there maybe be some modifications here and there, change the logo and that sort of thing, change some of the images and so forth. But the general idea of how it worked and how it looked was the same. And so it was, for me building it, it was really simple. And I charged $3,000 for these clone sites. And the thing about it is, no one batted an eye at that. All I ever got back when I told someone that it was going to be $3,000 was, okay, how do we start? What do we need to do next? I want to, get this thing done. As a matter of fact, I had one lady that I worked with as a client that I built this for, who told me I could probably charge double what I was charging for these things. So, and again, I was, this was all new to me, so it kind of dumbfounded me. And I was used to kind of the time for money thing. I had been on Elance. I downloaded their Elances when it was before, this is Upwork, before it was Upwork and all that, it was Elance. And I had downloaded, they had this stupid little tracker thing that you have to download, and it takes screenshots of your computer every like 10 or 15 minutes of that. basically you had to prove every hour that you charged that you were actually working on their stuff. So that's the kind of thing that I was used to. And now all of a sudden I had these people who were dropping $3,000 on a site and weren't asking me a thing about how much time it was taking me, other than, hey, when's it going to be done? And the faster for them, the better. So, it was really just kind of a completely different scenario for me. And because, like I said, I built this site already for him, and I was just essentially kind of giving them clones, I had most of the code already. So it wasn't like I had to rewrite the theme, I had to rewrite and redo any of this stuff. So most of these builds only actually took me about 4 to 5 hours. So if you look at that, I was making anywhere from $500-600 to about $750 an hour, even though I wasn't charging by the hour. That's what it was actually coming out to, because it really didn't take that long for me to build these sites. And nobody cared. I didn't have a single client who ever asked me about it, how long it was taking me and this sort of thing. They didn't care at all. They were concerned with the end product. Now, I, of course, assumed that this was a fluke, right? This was this weird thing having to do with Michael Hyatt. It was kind of a glitch in the matrix, so to speak, and it wasn't going to last. But what I've come to realize in the years since is that it's not a fluke. And it's actually a standard, common part of our industry. As a matter of fact, it's a common, standard part of every industry. It's the difference between a mechanic and a car dealership. It's the difference between Sony and Bob's TV repair. When we're talking about the mechanic and the car dealership, they both deal in cars. At the end of the day, they're both giving you a similar end result, in the sense that it's your car driving down the street working as it's supposed to, right? They're both giving you that, but it's done in two completely different ways, and as a result, rely on completely different pricing models. And my opinion is, if you want to really get paid well and not be tied to that hourly rate, and not be tied to having to work a bunch of hours in order to make a bunch of money, then you'll need to know the big difference between the two, and more importantly, why clients don't flinch when it comes to I'll just kind of give it away, the car dealership side of things. And they don't even ask or care about how much time it takes when it comes to that side of things. And when it comes to the other side, they watch the time like a hawk. So essentially the difference between why they don't care about time at all in one scenario and why it's the only thing that they care about in another scenario. So again, if you really want to make the switch to being more like the car dealership and less like the mechanic, and you can absolutely do that in our industry if you just take the right approach to it. Anyway, like I said, I'm doing a full podcast on all of this in November. We're going to get a lot more into the details of hows and the whys and all of that to really kind of break this all apart. But this is the kind of stuff that we talk about inside the Code Nation Premium community. So if you want this upcoming podcast plus everything else that's in there, my PHP 101 course, all my source code, my responsive web design course, the Get Paid to Code series, and basically everything that I have access to, plus the first week of each month, we're doing these kind of talk about how to make money doing this coding thing talks. Week 2, we're actually getting into technical code, and we're going to be doing HTML or CSS or PHP, whatever it is. We're going to be actually getting into code, doing the screencast, source code, that sort of thing. Week 3, we do a live Q&A. Week 4, you can give me something to critique, a website, whatever, and I'll take a look at it, make a video for you critiquing it. So if you want to get access to all of that stuff along with this podcast I'm going to be doing next month, then head on over to codenation.co to learn more about becoming a premium member. All the content is delivered through Patreon. You also get special access on the Discord server that I mentioned earlier, patron-only access over there as well. That's also where we're going to be doing the live Q&A each month as well. So all in all, I think pretty good deal. Again, if you'd like to jump in on that, codenation.co. It's not .com, it's .co. Codenation, all one word. So head on over there. But again, whatever you do, look at how you can be more like the car dealership and less like the mechanic. More like Sony and less like Bob's TV Repair. There's a very clear distinction between the two, and when you make the flip to the other side, you'll kind of open your eyes to the fact that you can do this without clients caring a lick about how many hours it takes you to build something, or what you're charging per hour, or any of that sort of thing. All right, that'll do it for this episode. If you liked the episode, be sure to hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't, and we'll talk to you next time.